All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us for tonight's team call. We are 8 days away from Summit. So get excited. If you didn't hear me on the live um, call today, I did it on our team page. I actually did it on my personal page and then said, crap, delete, 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 and then went on the team page. I talked about getting excited for Summit. I don't care if you're going or if you're not. I do care if you're going or not going, but you know what I mean, right? Get excited regardless if you're going or not. Make this a huge thing because it is a huge thing. Like Beachbody, they have been coming out with something new every 3 months for a reason. If you guys have seen that they're keeping this momentum going on. So use this as another momentum to get that flywheel going, to keep getting people excited, to reignite yourself and get excited even if you're not there. Share your goals with people. Like, you might have, like the FOMO, like fear of missing out next week if you're not there, but like state out loud, like, hey, I'm not there this year. Like, it sucks not to be with my team, but I'm going to be there next year, and make it a goal for you to be there next year. I believe the dates are already up for next year's summit. It's going to be in July. So teachers, you can come and just put it in stone, write it in stone that you're going to be there. And I really liked what Jeff said today, or on Monday, I listened to it today on the National Wake Up Call about being spontaneous. Like, yeah, it's in 8 days, but if you can get there, like, do anything you can to get there. Like if you're driving like Amy, drive like Amy. If you want to get a quick plane ticket, get a quick plane ticket. Like, it's so worth the investment. And that's something I'm going to remind myself to talk about tomorrow on the team page is, yes, this is a business. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest with your money. You have to invest in your time. And I'll say it again, invest in yourself with like personal development and growing yourself. Going to events is growing yourself. So you have to make sure that you get there. If you're not going to be at Summit, make sure you're going to be at Super Saturday. It's a month in advance. Some of you had more than a month in advance, right? If you're not a new coach, go find a place local by you. It's either July 7th or July 8th. If you need more help on how to find a Super Saturday near you, just let your upline coach, ask your upline coach. So for for June, I'm like all over the place today. For June, the Success Club Prize is a webcast with Rachel Hollis. She has that really awesome book, Girl, like Wash Your Face, but I always want to say like wash my hair because I never wash my hair. Really good. So I know she's going to absolutely bring it. All the info groups that we have going on. We still have that 3-day refresh one. We still have the 2B mindset. We have the glimpse into coaching. Leah made the one for Lift 4. I forget the name of it. What's the name of it, Leah?
Hit the summer off.
Hit the summer off. Okay, so that is the info group for Lift 4. So if you have people interested, add them into that group, tag them in one of the posts, and then follow up with them and say, hey, were you able to watch the videos? Were you able to see the info? Did you have any questions? Do you know what package that you want, right? So all the work is kind of done for you in those info groups. So looking forward to, like, obviously, like, we have Summit. Make a plan. All right, so if you're not going to Summit, it's actually a really great time, like an opportunistic time to like go as hard as you can, because everyone else is going to be at Summit. So like all the top coaches, everyone's going to kind of like be away in our own little world. So it's a great time to just like go balls to the walls. Invite as many people as you can into our Glimpse into Coaching group. That's our, coach opportunity info group. So when we're at Summit, we'll go live. We'll hype it up, right? So this week, like, invite as many people as you can into coaching. Get people into that group. So when we're there next week, we're going to do the work for you in that group. We're going to go live. We're going to like really pump it up. And then all of us are going to come back from Summit and saying we ate a bunch of crap. We drank way too much. And we're going to want to do a 3-day refresh, right? So another perfect chance. Get people into that 3-day refresh. So get your calendars out, mark down like when you want to, this week, invite people into that coaching opportunity. The next week after that, do a 3-day refresh with all of us, get people into that group, right? So really start planning your weeks, your month, so you know like what's up ahead and like all the different things that you can invite people to. Because Lisa Humphrey said it in our Babe Boss Academy, like if you don't have anything to invite people to, it's kind of like, it's hard to invite, right? So these are things you can invite people to. All right, off my soapbox. To Be Mindset, obviously you guys know that launched on June 4th for the app. Mes de Mas. I had no idea what that meant. It means month of more of month. I don't know. That is coming out just like Lift 4. So there's the early access. It already came out on Monday. There's a preview workout for it. So it's a Spanish workout. They do have it in English as well. I think it is more of a beginner workout. So it might be good for those who have people who have never worked out before. But you know what? Like, even if you don't have a Spanish market, go see what it's about. I'm going to watch it. I don't think I'll do the workout. And then obviously Lift 4, we're going to hear about that all today. And then I do have a question for anybody. Every Wednesday, I want to be sharing a story in that Glimpse into Coaching group for the coach opportunity. I need one coach or even two coaches who wants to share their story tomorrow. Message me, and we'll get you to share your story in there, because the more people can hear about how everybody is so different, but we're all alike, and somebody might click with somebody else, right? So we need to kind of keep that group going. So if you want to share your story tomorrow, please just send me a message and we'll get that all squared away. I don't know if Dana is on. Yep. All right, cool. So Leigh is going to take over and introduce our speaker for tonight.
All right, so we have a really awesome guest speaker tonight. I'm going to introduce you guys to Dana Fotiades. She is a 2-time elite top 200 coach. She is a lifetime 6-star in her first business center. She is a 1-star in her second business center. She's been coaching since 2014. She has an amazing story. She is a single mom to her son, Declan, and she also happens to be my success partner and one of my best friends in the whole world that I met through coaching. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear from her. She was in the Lift 4 test group. She'll share her story and she'll share all about her experience with the test group with you guys. So make sure if you have any questions, ask away. So go ahead, Dana.
Hey, ladies. I just have to give you guys a heads up really quick before I dive in. My son is still awake. He has an ear infection, so I may be interrupted, just to let you know. But hi, super excited to share with you tonight. I'm just going to give you a little bit of my backstory, as it'll kind of tie into my Lift journey as well and what has happened. But I'm super excited to share about this program with you. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have at the end of it. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. So I started coaching back in the end of January of 2014. So a little backstory, I was in a severe accident when I was 16. I was hit by a boat propeller, an accident that I definitely shouldn't have lived through, but caused a lot of bone damage and structural damage. So for the next about 10 years of my life, I was in and out of bone surgeries. I had a ton of operations, a lot of blood transfusions. I had been told that I potentially could have struggles walking or doing anything athletic, which I had been a swimmer, a synchronized swimmer. I had been into field hockey and lacrosse and all those things. So fitness for me at a very young age was already like an outlet for me. It was my thing. I also had lost my dad young to heart disease. So health was always something that I was really kind of interested in, but didn't really know enough about. So fast forward to my mid-20s, I kind of went down the rabbit hole after so many years of just struggling. And I was in college at the time, and I was totally that girl that would change majors like every semester and couldn't figure out what I really wanted to do, but I was like following the path that I was supposed to follow. But I really had lost my ability to dream, and I didn't really believe in myself anymore. And I just was struggling a lot with anxiety and depression. So I very unexpectedly found out that I was pregnant. decided to move across country to try and make it work as a family, and soon realized that I was in a very abusive relationship. So fast forward, when my son was 5 months old, I decided to pick up my life and start all over again. And I moved across country from Philadelphia to Florida to start life all over again. I really had no plan. I didn't know how I was going to make things work, but I just knew that life needed to be different for us. And it was around that time that my coach started reaching out to me. She saw that I had had a baby. She was a girl that I went to high school with and actually played field hockey with. And so for about 4 months, and just a little side note, don't give up on people that ignore you and ghost you, because I was one of those people. So for 4 months, she reached out to me to share about Shakeology and just her fitness programs and how she thought it might help me kind of lose my baby weight and find my happiness again. And I just wasn't really mentally in a place where I was ready to say yes. So it wasn't until right before my son turned 1, and I was just at rock bottom in every sense of the word. I was working a part-time job from home that was just kind of allowing us to get by. I was struggling a lot with anxiety and depression, and I just physically was not doing so well, but I didn't want to go back to the life that I had lived for 10 years prior, which was taking 22 pills a day just to get by. I knew that I wanted to be happy and healthy for him, and I knew that the life change I wanted for us had to start with me. So I finally said yes to my journey with Beachbody. I dove in with T25 and Shakeology. And after 3 days, I was on a call learning about the coaching opportunity, and I went all in from day one. So yes, babe.
I just found a baby.
Okay. Sorry about that. I dove all in from day one at that point. And like I said, I was in a very desperate place in my life. And as soon as I kind of realized there was an opportunity with coaching, I just was like, this is it for me. Like, this is the way that I can be home and present for my son as a single parent. This is, because it was the opposite end of the spectrum, was that I was going to have to get a second job, go to school at night, put him in full-time daycare. And that literally just put such a pit in my stomach that I just pumped the brakes every day, like waiting for something to happen. And when coaching came into my life, I knew that it was that thing that could change everything. So fast forward to now, I've been able to be home and present with him. I'm happier and healthier than I've ever been in my life. And I just think we have such a blessing to give. And now I can share a little bit more about Lift 4 with you guys. But I truly think that this is going to be a program that who's doing To Be Mindset, by the way? I'm just curious. So are you kind of feeling like To Be Mindset is that like mindset shift about food for you? That's how I'm going to kind of start explaining Lift 4 to you, is that Lift 4 is going to be what To Be Mindset is to nutrition, but for fitness. I think it's going to be a total mental game changer for so many people to see that you can get such drastic fitness results, but really make fitness a part of your life without necessarily like planning your life around your fitness journey. Now, considering I've mentioned that I've had to overcome a lot of physical struggles and physical injury, I do feel like there has been times where I've pushed myself too hard with programs that were too long or too intense or things like that. And I was so excited when I saw Lift 4 because I was like, this is something that I need. Like, this is what my body needs. It's what my schedule needs. And it's something that is so much less intimidating for the majority of people, whether they have never exercised a day in their life or if they're an avid exerciser and they're just looking for a way to like really maintain that and see, you know, their results go to the next level. So I personally was so honored to be asked to be in the test group for this because I've always wanted to put on some lean muscle weight. I ended up sadly getting pretty injured around week 3, which spiraled into having costochondritis, which if you don't know what that is, it's inflammation of your sternum. So I had to make the really hard choice to step back and kind of put my health first. But I can share with you my experience from the first 3 weeks of doing the workouts and just from being in the test group and watching everything that's been happening in it. So the workouts themselves, if you guys have bought Lift 4 now, done the pre, so you're doing the before Lift 4 workouts, they're very, very similar layouts to the actual Lift 4 workouts. So it's super, it's the sets where it's 3 moves together to basically max out, you know, your muscle groups, so that you build your lean muscle like that. And then it's followed by HIIT moves. And then every single workout ends with a core workout. So by the end of that 30-ish minutes, you're totally toast, which I was so surprised at coming off of 80-day obsession. I was like, how can 4 days a week for 30 minutes like really challenge you like that? But you're gonna be pleasantly surprised. Yes.
I can't catch the lizard. It's hiding somewhere.
Okay, I'll help you in a second, okay? So the actual workouts themselves are pretty basic. They're not like crazy moves that the majority of people are gonna kind of struggle with to figure out. They're pretty basic things, and that's what I really love about Joel. I was able to sit on a few calls with him during the test group, and he really explained that he's making fitness simple. Again, this is something that anyone can come in on and do. It's something that anyone can learn. And his cues in the actual program themselves are fantastic. He always has great cues about your form. He has those perfect cues to really motivate you when you're, you know, at the end of a HIIT move and you feel like you're going to die and hit the floor, to kind of push you and keep you going. He keeps you engaged, and it really feels like you're in a gym with a personal trainer, which I think is fantastic, because a lot of our programs have kind of felt more like an interactive class, where the Lift 4 workouts, I can compare them more to like working out one-on-one with a personal trainer, if that makes sense. So if anybody has specific questions about the workouts, I'm happy to answer before I kind of move on.
I'll ask a question. So anything with like, I guess like a lot of squats or like any type of like even the jumping HIIT stuff, like I'm concerned with people that have like back and knee injuries. I'm obviously assuming that there's modifications, but do you feel like that this is not a good fit for them, or it's still doable with modifications?
I heard you, babe. It's okay. It's fine. I'm really sorry, guys.
Don't worry.
This is like my worst nightmare when I'm running.
We pretty much all have kids, so don't worry about it.
Then you get it.
Yes.
So for the actual workouts, there is a modifier. So it definitely kind of makes it, you know, takes it less a notch of intensity, but there's also a bandifier in the program. So if people don't have weights, or they don't want to buy weights, or they're kind of intimidated by using weights, or if they're traveling a lot or something like that, they can still do the program because there is a bandifier for it, which is awesome also. And I personally, I I can't really say whether it's good for somebody with back issues or not, because this has been something that was part of why I had to step back when I got my injury flared up. Because of the way they're focused on, like, it's back and biceps, and then chest and triceps, and then shoulder day, and then leg day. They're all separate, where they're very focused on that one part of your body to like burn out. So for me, when that injury flared up, it was definitely not the type of program that I needed to be doing or even modifying. So I think that if it's someone that's, you know, can modify and do it with the bands, by all means, it would be fine. But form is going to be what's super important about it. Form is pretty much everything. And like I said, he's great with the cues of it. The cast is really awesome to kind of showcase what the form should be as well. But it does move a fast pace. So definitely, like, while you're running your challenge groups, I would just kind of like lay in and encourage on people watching their form and doing the proper form so that injury doesn't happen. I think I saw a question down there. How would you explain the change and help it appeal to your passionate 80-dayers that are worried it won't be enough? I feel like you can't really compare the two, because like I said, I was just coming off 80-day obsession, and I was like 30 minutes, 4 days a week. Like, I can tell you that in the first 2 weeks of Lift 4, like, I drastically saw my body change. Drastically. My abs shredded out, my muscles were growing. Like, the way that this is designed with the lifting component of it, I feel like makes it very different from 80-day, where it's kind of like so much core focus and so much total body work, if that makes sense, because this really is focused on isolating muscle groups and building those muscle groups. And I was sore every single day, which I was also really humbled and surprised by coming off 80-day obsession. I can also say that there are a lot of men in the test group, which are absolutely loving this program. They're lifting pretty much double the weight that they started with, as are the women. So this is a fantastic program for couples. But a lot of the men have said that this is a program that they would prefer, like, over going to the gym now, which I think is amazing. So in terms of kind of adjusting to the 4 days a week, that was probably the hardest thing for most of us in the test group. Everybody was like, 4 days a week? Like, I'm so used to working out 5 or 6 days a week. Like, it's a total, again, a mindset shift that you don't have to work out 6 days a week for an hour to see really drastic results. And you kind of just, again, have to trust the process and give it a few weeks and see how your body changes to really know that will work for you. So I don't necessarily know if that helps with explaining to people with 80-day, but it's something that they can't really see what's going to happen until they experience it. And the other thing is that thinking about long-term maintainability, the majority of people long-term, it's hard to get in 6 days a week for an hour every single day. At least it was for me. I know some of my customers that were busy moms felt the same way. But one of the things about having 3 rest days, the beauty of it is, like, if you have a specific day that is super busy in your schedule, or you get home really late, or you have a sick kid, or like something goes on, you can easily move one of your workout days around, because now you have 3 days open for that, right? So it's kind of like you can make it work for your life. But it's also just something where if you like running, you like cycling, you like yoga, you like doing things outside with your kids, that you have more time to do those as well. And for me, in my mind personally, and just in my lifestyle, I thought that was a game changer, because I was like, how awesome is it that I now have 3 days a week to do something else that I love and enjoy, right? I don't know who's ever felt like that. It's kind of a confession. But there have been times where I did really strict, longer programs and thought, like, I wish I could go do X, Y, Z, but I have to get my workout in today, right? And you don't want to miss it, and you don't want to skip, and you don't want to feel like you're not 100%. But with Lift 4, you can be 100% and still have room in your life for those other things you want to do or enjoy. I hope that answered your question. The meal plan. The meal plan is very similar to 21 Day Fix. It is portion controlled. It's kind of like macros focused. In the actual test group, so when I was doing 80-day obsession, I was in plan D. And then when I went into lift 4, my calorie bracket was a little bit lower. And by the end of the first week, I had to bump up a calorie bracket because I was already like shredding. Again, I could feel it, that my body just needed more fuel. And Joel is really funny that like in the group, everybody was like, do I eat more reds? Do I eat more yellows? Do I bump up a bracket? And he's like, I don't speak colors. I speak food. So, you know, he would just say to me or some of the other women, you know, eat more protein if you're hungry, eat more protein. So again, it's going to be similar to 80-day obsession where you kind of have to feel out how you feel when you're doing the workouts because you are building lean muscle, which does feed your metabolism, which is going to make you hungrier. And also as the workout gets more intense, from weeks like 5 to 8, Joel has been really on the test group about making sure they're eating enough to really fuel their workouts because they are intense and they are tough and you are lifting. And for you to be able to have the ability to really push through your workouts, you need to be making sure you're getting enough fuel. So it's definitely something where you may have to adjust that as you go. But the cool thing is there is like a built-in lifts, a lifestyle type of day on this program. Joel is very like honest and open about the fact that he believes you should be able to see the results you want, but also live your life, which I thought was fantastic. I know a lot of my coaches and customers are super excited about that. So you can have a glass of wine, you can have a beer, you can go out for dinner with your family and have tacos. You can, you know, go to a summer barbecue and have a little something that you typically wouldn't have while you're on plan. So again, in my opinion, this is really something that is maintainable long term because it gives you a little more wiggle room to live your life and be human while also getting incredible results. If that answers your question. As for 2B mindset, there were some in the test group that kind of wanted to know if you can do 2B mindset along with lift 4. So what that was kind of shared about this is that 2B mindset, obviously there are no yellows involved in dinner, right? Like that's the biggest difference from most meal plans, and also that the snack is optional. Whereas on lift 4, you're kind of wanting to make sure, it's important that you're making sure, like I said, that you're getting enough fuel to fuel your workouts. So Joel kind of said that he's all on board with people using 2B concepts and 2B recipes and things like that, but you also just need to make sure that you're fueling your body enough to fuel your workouts and to see that muscle growth. So for me personally, I was testing out 2B recipes. I was, you know, kind of adding more veggies in, but I was making sure that I was eating enough protein, that I was eating my yellows, because otherwise I wouldn't have had the energy to push through the workouts and or build lean muscle, which was my goal. So again, that's something where you can kind of combine some of the concepts of eating more veggies, of drinking more water, but also making sure to hit your target so that you can fuel those workouts and those results. And 80-day obsession, they didn't want pregnant women. We actually have Amy Silverman in our test group who is pregnant right now and has been doing lift 4. She has shared that she's been a little more lax on the nutrition plan just because she's had crazy cravings or aversions and whatnot. But she is pregnant and she is doing lift 4. Again, I personally always suggest that people talk to their doctor before they do a workout program like this, because if they're not working out prior to getting pregnant, then I don't know if this would be the best program for them. But if they already are fit and in a routine, I don't see why not. And it can be modified or bandified if needed. So, but someone is pregnant in the group doing it. So yeah, due to HIIT if the heart rate goes too high. That's why they should definitely talk to their doctor first. I don't know about Amy's scenario with that. Yeah. Okay, is there more questions about, did I miss anything? What did we do on days off? It was really different for everyone in the group. There were a lot of people that chose to do, basically for the test group, Joel kind of wanted us not to like go ham and do other workouts on the days off, just to ensure that we were really showcasing the results that can be made with 4-day-a-week workouts. So we weren't allowed to go crazy and do like max 30 or something like that on the off days, which by all means, you can do things however you want. But most of us just did something like yoga. There were people in the group that were also doing running here and there because they were avid runners prior to Beachbody, but kind of like gave that up to be able to do their workouts, and they were excited to kind of add that back in. There were people that were doing biking, or people like me that just take their kid to the pool or go out for a walk or something like that. So it's really, you get to choose what you want to fill those 3 days of your life with, which I think is amazing. Make sure I didn't miss anything.
I have a question. So
Yes.
on one of the trainings, like before it was announced, Joel said that the meal plan is pretty much like uses the fixed containers, but it is timed nutrition. But like when I looked at the meal plan for LIIFT, when I got access, it's not really, it doesn't really specify like that certain containers have to get eaten at certain times of the day. So it seems like it's not as strict as like 80-day obsession. So that's, I guess that's my question is like, you just pretty much pick your own meal plan within the containers and make your meals, or does he say like certain things need to go at certain places?
He never really specified, like obviously with 80-day obsession, it was just kind of like you have to eat a red, green, a yellow, and a teaspoon, like right now at this specific time. This was not that way. I personally feel like if you have done the container system before, or you had done 80-day obsession, then you kind of have a feel of like what a balanced meal should look like for you. And if someone has never followed the container system, it's good to kind of help them map that out. But there wasn't any specific requirements of what should be eaten together and when.
Mom.
Yeah. Is there other questions that I can answer?
So what are you doing now to promote this with your team?
I personally am doing basically the exact same thing that I did for To Be Mindset. So I have a sneak peek group running. So I'm sharing transformations in there and just kind of testimonials and stories, information about the workouts, about the meal plan, and just kind of sharing what that experience would be like. I also share that we're kind of doing a VIP group for the people that want to dive in and do before LIIFT 4 and like do a prep month with us for June to kind of get in that mode of 4 days a week, of the, a little bit more lax nutrition, and just kind of get a feel of what that's going to feel like, and also get a feel of what the workouts are going to be like. And then we're all going to be diving in together in July. So doing it that way, I personally feel like, the people that are still kind of like not sure, they have time to decide. The people that are just ready to rock and jump in have all started, hopping in the group and already starting their before LIIFT 4 workouts. But it just gives you something really cool to share in and to add value to, and to add people to kind of connect and see what the program's all about, rather than just an invite, with a video or something like that. And also, if people are asking questions, other people see the responses and things like that. So it just kind of creates that that interaction that you want to see when you're kind of hyping up a new program. So that's what we're doing. Any other questions? I added you, Leia, to my, I added Leia to the sneak peek group I have open. So if she wants to take any of those photos from the group, feel free. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to mention is that the dynamic of the people in this test group were just kind of all across the board. There was a handful of us like me that didn't really want to lose weight, but wanted to build lean muscle or put on a few pounds. There were some people that had kind of a small amount to weight to lose that wanted to really kind of shred out. And then there were a handful that wanted to lose a larger amount of weight. And if you look at the transformation photos from the week 4 progress and even now the week 7 progress, it's like mind blowing to see what this program does to specific body types or dynamics. And that this program really can be for anybody. Because somebody asked me that the other day, was like, am I gonna like get really bulky if I lift weights? Joel has, really kind of nailed it into us females in the group that we don't have enough testosterone in our bodies to get really kind of muscular like that. It will just give your body that really lean toned shape that you want to see. And for men, it is going to help them bulk up. So the male results from this are just mind blowing as well. Probably the best that I've ever seen from any program of men's results.
And last question for me, because me and Leia have been talking about like creatine, and like Autumn's like, no, and I'm kind of like, yeah, you know what, like I think I actually want to try it. So did any of the test groupers do that? Like, did he talk about it?
I personally, had I been able to not like have to physically step back, I was going to try creatine because I drink the whole performance line. Creatine was something that I had never tried just because I was like, oh, like I didn't really know enough about it to want to use it. And I don't typically feel like, creatine is something that we women are like, yeah, I want that. But Joel definitely kind of explained it more so in the group that with using creatine, like you should do cycles using it because it will give you more of a pump and kind of more of a push in your workout. So there are quite a few females in the test group that are using the entire performance line, including creatine. And if I recall correctly, I would have to double check and I can tell Leia for you, but I'm pretty sure that he said cycle wise, you would use it for 6 weeks on and then 2 weeks off. And then you would do 6 weeks on again and 2 weeks off is kind of how you implement that in. And I think he said you drink it before your workout or after. I'm going to double check on that one for you. I'll text you, Leia. But yes, to answer your question, there are females using creatine. So why not just go for it?
Sweet. And I see Ariel saying, yes, creatine before.
Before.
Awesome. Before.
Glad you can clarify for that.
Did anybody have any other questions, whether it's Lift for or business-wise? Because this girl, like Leia said, is a top 200 in the entire network of like 350,000 coaches. So she knows what she's doing.
Not at the moment.
Hey, it doesn't matter. You were there. It counts.
Hey, that's business. You have your ups and downs, just like your journey, right? There is no straight line to success in any way, shape, or form. How much heavier did you lift from 80 day? I personally, and I can just also kind of give you a range of what I've seen with the women that continued on past when I had to stop. Most women were starting the workouts. Now, just to kind of break this down for you, when you're doing workouts that are broken down, like back and biceps, and then shoulders another day, and then you have chest and triceps, like when things are divided out like that, they're very, like I said, isolated movements, which for me, I was finding that with certain bicep movements, I could use 15s, and certain bicep movements, I was like struggling to get 10s up because they were isolated in a different like movement than I was used to doing. So I saw that I had different areas that were kind of weaknesses for me, especially like with my shoulders. There were like lateral raises that I was like, oh my God, these are so hard to do with like 10-pound weights. I had to drop down to 7.5. So it's going to be different depending on like how your muscles are when you're starting the program. But what I can tell you is that you're going to progress really fast. There's a tracker sheet for the program. We were tracking our progression of weights every single week. And I think that by week 2, I was up 5 pounds in every single movement. Had I continued on, who knows what those numbers would have been. But there are women in the test group right now that started using 10s and 15s that are now lifting 35s and 40s. There are some that are using a little bit lighter. Like I said, it's kind of going to depend on how you push yourself through those isolated movements. But the thing is that Joel really nailed in is that you never want to sacrifice form to go up in weight. So if you're struggling to maintain your form when you've increased weight, then you want to drop it back down again to make sure that you're following the proper form and getting the maximum movement for that workout. And he also suggested increasing in increments of 5 pounds. So what I'm personally going to be suggesting to my customers, if they've never lifted weights before, I'm going to say 5 to 15s probably to start. And if they've done Beachbody programs or they're kind of, into fitness, I would suggest starting with like 10s to 25s maybe. And they can kind of feel it out as they go. But if they don't have any weights, there's, really great weight sets you can get that have different levels of weights, for $160 and stuff like that at Walmart. It's definitely worth the investment in getting something like that. I hope that answered your question. Anybody else?
Last call, guys.
Before my kid loses it.
Am I muted? Regarding the weights, would you suggest those, those like ones you can switch out? What are they called? Like the Bowflex?
Bowflex.
Weights?
That's what I have.
Oh, you do? Okay. So they worked okay. Because sometimes people say with a lot of the moves, they can be awkward.
I think that personally there was like 2 moves that I preferred using because I have 10-pound dumbbells as well, just like free weights that I had before I bought Bowflex, that I preferred to use. But most of the people in the test group have been using weights that are like adjustable like that.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
that's a good bet. Yes.
You
You ready for bed?
I want TV.
You probably have about 5 minutes left in me.
No, I think we're good. I think everyone asked their questions, right?
If anybody has any questions that you didn't get to ask tonight or that came up, and I can always get the answers to you guys through Dana too. So
Sweet. Thank you, Dana.
she just stepped away.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you guys.